Good evening, blessings and love on this Sabbath day, and I always wear the Nutella on the Sabbath to mark the end of the week and the beginning of a new week. I'm somewhere very special tonight. I'm at Fairfield House in the Kidane Meheret prayer room. Just show you around. So this is the label for the room. This is Empress Menin. I'm in Fairfield House, and this was Empress Menin's personal prayer room when they lived in Fairfield House from 1936 to 1941, when the Empress lived here, worked here, lived here. And I'll just show you some of the sights of the room. It's a very beautiful room, and this was put together by Ethiopian Orthodox priests, Princess Esther Antonin Selassie, the Emperor's great-granddaughter, and others at Fairfield House. And it's a beautiful room. So these are some of the Ethiopian icons. Here's the Bible. I think this one's in, I think this is an Amharic, not Ge'ez. Sometimes hard to tell, but that looks like Amharic rather than Ge'ez. But yeah, it's a very beautiful, beautiful room. So the Kidane Meheret, Covenant of Mercy. So yeah, just some scenes that I can just show you quickly before I get into today's reading of Nehemiah 2. I just want to show off the space. Yeah, gorgeous room. So I'll just end with this site. This is a very famous painting, the Emperor. And as Tekla Selassie wrote recently, the identity of the female figure is under discussion. But if you're interested in the meaning of this, if you look at Tekla Selassie on his social media, he wrote about this quite recently. Lots of symbolism. But yeah, so I'm showing you too much probably, but yeah, it's just such a beautiful room. I'm sure you're not getting bored with these sights. Just some ancient Ge'ez books and prayer books, books of Psalm. Absolutely gorgeous. Unfortunately, you now have to come back and look at me rather than the beautiful room. And but hopefully the background is interesting enough. So I've got it on my Kindle today. Don't have the big Bible with me. It's a very busy day actually. I've been in the Coptic church for most of the day. We had a spiritual day, and then I went to a film screening of a monastery in Georgia. Not a monastery, it's more of a interfaith space in Georgia, which was a Christian church, a mosque and a synagogue all under one roof, and the bishop from that space came and gave a talk. And then this evening I've been at Fairfield House, an event about Sudan. So what's going on in Sudan and the experiences. So yeah, really, really full day of learning lessons and experience and these kind of things. And now I'm blessed to do the Bible reading in this space. So Nehemiah 2, again, of course, it follows on from what we heard yesterday with Nehemiah himself and putting in a petition to the king of Georgia, King Ezra-Nehemiah, to go to Jerusalem, and he finds his calling is to go and rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. And so this is what we hear today. He petitions King Ezra-Nehemiah to go to Jerusalem, which gets granted. And he goes to Jerusalem. When he arrives, he then surveys the city walls in nighttime, and then he goes to petition the leaders of the groups in Jerusalem of what's needed to then rebuild the walls. He gets some opposition, but his plan still comes off, and in the end he kind of wins over the people, convinces them that he has the plan to rebuild the city walls in Jerusalem. So this is what we're here in today's chapter. So I'm trying to get the light out. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get that out, so hopefully that's not too distracting. Not that you kind of stay there and look at the window, but just that light is a bit distracting there. But anyway, so I'll now read Nehemiah 2. Give thanks for these few words. In the month of Nisan, in the 20th year of Artaxerxes, the king, when wine was before him, I picked up the wine and gave it to the king. Now I have been sad before in his presence. The king said to me, "Why is your face sad, since you are not sick?" This is nothing else but sorrow of heart. Then I was very much afraid. I said to the king, "Let the king live forever. Why shouldn't my face be sad when the city, the place of my father's tombs, lies waste, and its gates have been consumed with fire?" Then the king said to me, "What is your request?" So I prayed to the God of heaven. I said to the king, "If it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in your sight, I ask that you would send me to Judah, to the city of my father's tombs, that I may build it." The king said to me, the queen was also sitting by him, "How long will your journey be? When will you return?" So it pleased the king to send me, and I set a time for him. Moreover, I said to the king, "If it pleases the king, let letters be given to the governors beyond the river, that they may let me pass until I come to Judah. And a letter to Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the citadel by the temple, for the wall of the city, and for the house that I will occupy." The king granted my requests because of the good hand of my God on me. Then I came to the governors beyond the river and gave them the king's letters. Then the king had sent captains of the army and horsemen with me. Then Sanballat and Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite servant heard of it and grieved them exceedingly, because a man had come to seek the welfare of the children of Israel. So I came to Jerusalem and was there 3 days. I arose in the night, I and a few men with me. I didn't tell anyone what my God put in my heart to do in Jerusalem. There wasn't any animal with me except the animal that I rode on. I went out by night by the valley gate towards the jackal's well, then to the dung gate, and I inspected the walls of Jerusalem, which were broken down, and its gates were consumed with fire. Then I went on to the spring gate and to the king's pool, but there was no place for the animal that was under me to pass. Then I went up in the night by the brook and inspected the walls, and I turned back and entered by the valley gate, and so returned. The rulers didn't know where I went or what I did. I had not as yet told it to the Jews, nor to the priests, nor to the nobles, nor to the rulers, nor to the rest who did the work. Then I said to them, "You see the bad situation that we are in, how Jerusalem lies waste, and its gates are burned with fire. Come, let's build up the walls of Jerusalem, that won't be disgraced." I told them about the hand of God which was good on me, and also about the king's words that he had spoken to me. They said, "Let's rise up and build," and they strengthened their hand for the good work. But when Sanballat the Horonite, Tobiah the Ammonite servant, and Geshem the Arabian heard it, they ridiculed us and despised us and said, "What is this thing that you are doing? Will you rebel against the king?" Then I answered them and said to them, "The God of heaven will prosper us. Therefore we, his servants, will arise and build, but you have no portion, nor right, nor memorial in Jerusalem." For these few words I give thanks, blessings and love. So Again, honoured to be in this space. I'll give you one final glimpse before I again leave. Just as always, a blessing and a beauty to be in His Majesty's house. I've been involved with this place. If you haven't visited yet Fairfield House, please do come and visit. It's just the most incredible place. I've been fortunate enough to be involved in this house since the 90s. I was born and raised in Bath. They do amazing historical tours on Sundays. Check out the website, check out the social media. Look at this, just absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, do check it out. City of Bath, the Emperor and Empress's humble abode. And come and pray in the Kidane Meheret prayer room. Blessings and love, Empress Menin, His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie. Thanks for witnessing, and God willing, I'll be back with more tomorrow in my humble office for the next chapter. Give thanks and blessings. Yet a Barek for Cure.